Hi, and welcome to Black and Gold Happy Hour Sports Talk, our second podcast. We are coming to you from the Berg Bus. Have you ever seen a podcast from a bus? This is what we're doing right on the North Shore here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Pirates, the Penguins, the Steelers today, as we always do with Black and Gold. We're also going to talk about the Berg Bus and the tours that they have. We're very excited to be here today. My name is Mike Florak. Hopefully joining us soon will be Phil Bork, who's in a meeting with the Penguins and should be on his way over shortly. Also, Howard Carnell will join us once we get through our technical glitches here. But our guest today, I'm so happy to have a longtime friend of mine and a guy who knows a little bit about changing parts and changing lineups right in the middle of the game here, is Greg Brown, longtime announcer for the Pirates. And Greg, we're just thrilled to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Mike, you just asked the question, have I ever seen a podcast on a bus? No, but I've seen the bus on a podcast. Jerome Bettis has been on many podcasts.
True.
I've seen the bus, so this is kind of wild. But yeah, this is
we're right down the road from his old restaurant here. Yeah,
we're
it's only fitting.
Right by Acroshore. We're between Acroshore and Stage AE. Beautiful day, and this is really cool. So thanks. This is a first.
Something different.
Yeah, very different.
Now we can. This is a bucket list thing. You
yes,
can say,
yes.
I've done a podcast on a bus.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're happy to be here, Greg. But it's always good to spend time with you. I just marvel at all the stories that you have throughout your career, the great things that you've done. You've been the voice of the Pirates, as identifiable to me, in my opinion, as any of the great announcers that have come through the Pittsburgh area. Myron Cope, Mike Lang, all those guys. You're right up there with them, no doubt in my mind. Bob Prince. Who, by the way, I went to college with the Gunner's granddaughter.
How about that?
Yeah, she used to wear
that.
his granddaughter Casey. She used to wear his World Series ring.
I did not know that.
Yeah, his 1960 World Series ring around her neck. Yeah, we were huge Pirate fans. A lot of those guys went to school together. So, but anyway, I'm just happy to have you here. I want to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pirates, like I said. Talk a little bit about the big week with Roberto Clemente Day and that kind of thing. But I always think it's interesting because when I was growing up, I wanted to be a broadcaster whenever I got finished playing. My life took a couple unexpected turns, and I was kind of morphed into coaching and did that kind of thing. But I'm always interested in how broadcasters got started and how you made this journey because, as you well know, I grew up with John Butchgrass, and he was on our show last week. And he has a great story about how he started with tape recording the street hockey games that we used to play while he was officiating the ones he wasn't playing in. And that bug was in him from day one. How about for you? How did it all begin?
Well, you and I have talked about this before, about everybody has a story, no matter what your walk of life is. So I was very similar to John in that I would basically broadcast even without a tape recorder. I remember in playing intramural sports in high school, and my buddies tell me to this day, I grew up in central Pennsylvania, that when we were playing basketball, football, baseball, it didn't matter. They liked it because they had a soundtrack as they were playing. So we're going up and down the court, and I might dish off something to my buddy Jim McHale. Brown to McHale, there's two. I would do that constantly. No matter the sport. And
so no one you grew up with is surprised.
Yeah, they're not. I am.
That's how we are.
I don't. They have reminded me now of those things that I did. I was kind of unaware of it at the time. I guess that's what I did. My brothers tell me they remember. They would open the door of my bedroom upstairs in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and they would see me bouncing from bed to bed. Because we had 7 kids and we had to room with it. But I'd have the radio on, and I would be almost simulcasting what I heard. And if there's a Dave Parker doubles into the right field corner, I'd bounce from the one bed to the other, pretending to be Parker. And they said, at times my room looked like a laboratory. With back then, no cable, no nothing. We had just a transistor radio, and I had to try and listen to KDKA 1020 on a clear night, and I would find a way to get like an old coat hanger and attach it to the back of the radio, so it became the antenna to try and get the best sound out of it. Just, like John and like others, just growing up loving the sport, but loving the art of broadcasting. I loved it.
And then your training took you to Point Park, correct?
Yeah, and I tell people at Point Park, or anywhere I speak, kind of kiddingly, but I don't know how much professors or teachers like it. I kind of tell them to leave the room because I was not a good student. Because the only thing on my mind, I mean, heck, I didn't like anything but sports in high school. That was it. That was my
Familiar
life.
story.
Yeah. So girls, nothing. No school, nothing. Sports, sports, sports. It's all I cared about. And so that made me not a really good student. I wasn't awful. In fact, I was looking recently at an old box of stuff I've got, like back in the garage. I pulled it out, and I was looking. I had not seen this stuff in 20 years, and I saw an old high school semester grading system, and it was actually pretty good, way better than I thought. Still not good by today's standards. Don't get me wrong, but so I wasn't an awful student. I was a good kid, a good student. I watched my P's and Q's. I listened to my parents. I tell people that too. Young people, this day and age, I know it's way worse with social media. It's so hard, but I had, relatively speaking, I had it kind of hard too, because people were trying to always push me to go one way, and I would steer clear of bad stuff. And I think that also helped me get to where I am.
Sure. And we have a lot of viewers back in the Ohio Valley and the Steubenville area.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a family connection to Steubenville. Why don't you tell us
Mingo
about
Junction.
that a little bit?
My late uncle, Father Frank Brown, was there for many years, and I believe a principal at Steubenville Catholic.
Yes, he
Rich
was.
Rich Donnelly, the former Pirate third base coach and longtime coach of other teams, and a Steubenville icon and legend.
Sure.
He was taught by my uncle, Father Frank,
okay.
at Steubenville
Yes.
Catholic. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And I remember one time when you and I were, we had you into for one of the programs that I've had you in for periodically. And I think we drove by, we were going to eat downtown at Naples restaurants. And we drove by the rectory at St. Peter's, downtown St. Peter Church. And you pointed out, and you were like, my uncle used to live there.
That's right. Right there in the back of the parking lot there. There was an apartment complex.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was there for years, passed away. My gosh, this has to be, I hate to say, it's probably 20 years ago.
20 years. Yeah. But there's, as you well know, there's a lot of fans in the Valley.
They're great baseball fans, great sports fans in the Valley. And that connection, my father and my uncle and uncles were from Connellsville, Pennsylvania, and huge Pirates and Steelers fans growing up, and it kind of trickled down, and they kind of taught me the love of sports in Western Pennsylvania. I grew up in Central Pennsylvania. All my buddies were Eagles fans and Flyers and Orioles. Not many Pittsburgh fans. My connection was from my relatives for that reason,
and probably the fact that you could get KDKA at night.
Oh yeah, that was a godsend. I tell people, Mike, that my father was in the coal business. It was a lobbyist really for the coal industry, and he would have meetings in Pittsburgh. And I was probably 9, 10 years old maybe, and he decided to take me on one of his trips. And this is crazy to think of, but he would stay at the old Hilton at the Point, which is, shoot, I should know what a Wyndham now, whatever. Right there, the Point. It was in Pittsburgh, and we would stay at the downtown hotel. He would go off to meetings, and he would basically, I must have tipped the guy, a bellman would let me run around the lobby of the hotel to get visiting team autographs all day long. Yeah. By myself, running all over the place. Imagine that in this day, it doesn't happen.
By the independence.
Yeah. But
so then you move on from Point Park, and you take a couple other jobs that are leading you to broadcasting. Talk about your experience. You were play-by-play for the Buffalo Bills for a while.
So I've spent 10 years in the Pirates front office, did everything imaginable. In promotions, I was kind of the radio TV coordinator, almost the broadcasting director. I did public address announcing. Art McKinnon, the longtime public address announcer, kind of took me under his wing. I was working the scoreboard room. When they got a video board at Three River Stadium, I was the director. But I also did in-game entertainment. I spun records with Vince Lashide as the organist in the sound room. And Art was stricken as a young man with polio, and he was in a wheelchair. And he was up there in age, and on long nights, double headers, he just could not do 18 or more innings. And he knew how much I loved, again, announcing. I loved his voice. I impersonated his voice. He taught me diction. He taught me how important it was. To this day, for 6 years, we had Derek Shelton as our manager.
Mhm.
Not Derek Shelton, Derek Shelton. And so when I did PA, he would, again, remind me time and time again. He would have me fill in for him so he could take breaks and not have to do 18 innings. So I would occasionally do public address announcing. Center fielder Andy Van Slyke. I loved it. And then when he kind of moved on, they made me the full-time public address announcer at River Stadium. That was a dream job for me.
Yeah, that's great.
Then I did pre and post game. I was like the Hannah Mears, Robbie and Smikowski early on of the cable network. Mike Lang and Steve Blass were doing the games together. And somebody at the Pirates suggested that I interviewed for it, do interviews. And so pre and post game, I did interviews on this fledgling cable network. It was called KBL.
KBL, that's right.
And I did that for a year. And then Bob Pompiani was a classmate of mine at Point Park. He called me one day. He was the weekend sports guy at KDK TV. And he called me and he said, I know you want to get into this business. I have found out that the Youngstown station is looking for a weekend sports anchor. He said, I think you should apply. I did. And I did that for a summer. WFMJ, the NBC TV affiliate in Youngstown, Ohio, did weekend sports anchoring. Right about that time, a job opened up in Buffalo for a number 2 announcer. They were also looking for somebody to help put a radio network together for the minor league team, the Buffalo Bisons. They only had one station in Buffalo do it, WGR, but the powers that be at the Bisons came down to Pittsburgh and they asked my boss at the Pirates, do you know anybody that could maybe do some play-by-play but could help create, because you guys have a 45, 50 station radio network, we'd like to do that in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And he said, I got your man. Right about that time, Mike, the station in Youngstown, WFMJ TV, Steve Meckling was the sports director. He was retiring. So the news director came to me and said, we want you to be our full-time weekday anchor at WFMJ TV and be our sports director. Just then, the job opens up in Buffalo. I interviewed for that to be the play-by-play guy and kind of a quasi radio TV coordinator, and that's the gig I got.
Wow.
And took.
Amazing.
It was at a fork in the road. I had to make that call.
Sure.
But play-by-play was always my true number one love.
Right.
But
right.
My goodness, what an option. I would, I think about that now. What if I had taken that path and done weekend sports anchoring and then full-time sports anchoring? Because, I really thought, I don't know how good I am as a play-by-play guy, and I'm being very honest with you. I don't know how good I would have been. I think I'd have been really good I thought I was good as a weekend sports anchor and then full-time, and who knows what that would have led to.
Yeah, sure. And then the Bills come calling.
And the Bills come calling, but unbeknownst to me, I did a couple of years doing the baseball play-by-play. I did some hockey because our radio station owned the rights. I did pre and between periods hosting for the radio station for hockey. I did some play-by-play for UB basketball, University of Buffalo, college basketball. And though we didn't have the rights at the time to the Buffalo Bills, we did have the rights to carry the general manager show and the head coach's show, the weekly show. And it was Bill Polian, the general manager. Mark Levy was the head coach. And the sports director at WGR, great friend to this day of mine, Pete Weber, threw me into the deep end of the pool and said, I want you to do some sports talk. I want you to do the UB basketball. I want you to host the hockey. And I also want you to host
Here comes a guy. Here comes a guy hockey. Yeah.
So
Speaking of a guy who knows about hockey.
They opened
Here it
it up.
comes.
They opened it up to they invited me to do the Bills color, and that's what I ended up doing. Got a special guest arriving on the bird bus here.
Yeah, but so it was an interesting journey, and then you come back to the Pittsburgh
the job
opportunity.
Actually, I didn't get it the first time it opened up. 1 year in Buffalo, they let go of somebody, and I applied. I didn't get it, but 4 years later, I applied again. and got the gig.
Wow. Yeah. So that's great to be, as humble as you were, knowing this is my dream.
Yeah.
First time I don't get there. Second time I got to go knock on the door again.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Yeah. Don't give up. I mean, that's a great story. And I love hearing that story. I've heard it several times, and it's a great lesson for everybody to learn about perseverance, following your dreams. It's very, very important to not lose sight of it.
I applied also after a couple years in Buffalo. Do you remember Bo Schembechler?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a longtime coach at Michigan. Well, he became credible. He became a vice president for the Detroit Tigers for a while.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And one of his first moves was to fire a long time Ernie Harwell.
He fired
him.
Harwell. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
So that job opened up. I applied for that. I didn't get it, thank goodness. I do. Rick Riz did get it. Rick Riz is now longtime Mariners voice. Those guys got just crushed by the fans. Whoever followed him was going to get crushed.
There he is.
Yes, right here.
Speaking of getting crushed by fans,
should I wear the jacket? Am I going to be too hot with the jacket?
Yeah, I think you are. Yeah, but we're being joined here by the old 2-9er. Phil Bourque is on the Berg bus. And we're just talking here with Brownie about
No.
we're those knees are still in good shape.
No, they're not.
You're
Actually, I got a cramp in my hamstring right now. I'm cramping right now.
Right down the left
Will
wing
you work
board.
that out for me, please?
By the way,
Right down the left wing board.
A little background
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
You
How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are we on right now?
Let's go. We're on. We're on.
this is live stuff right now.
All right. What's up, boys? We're on the Berg bus. Let's go.
So we're just talking with Brownie about his journey, and the time that he
Oh,
spent
good.
doing
Good time for me to jump in.
different things. And he was, play-by-play for 4 years with the Buffalo Bills. Moved around quite a bit. Did some minor league ball. And
You've seen some losing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. No, well, the Bills, man.
I don't know if I've ever told you or you, but I'll tell you the first thing that Steve Blass did.
Yes,
there was a
when you went to that luncheon.
1995. Yeah. No, 94. 94 was my first year back as an announcer. 1994, you were still scoring 50 goals a game. 50 goals a year at that point.
In my sleep, in my dreams. Yeah.
So anyway, the first year, that was when they got rid of Bonds and Bonilla and all those guys. They just won 3 straight National Eastern Division titles. Here I come, 94. It didn't bother me. They were no good, but they were terrible.
It's a dream, yeah.
And they struck. There was a baseball strike in August of that year.
And a hockey strike, too.
In 95?
94, 95.
That's right.
The 94, 95 season.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
They started up in January. Sorry to interrupt.
Wow, no, I didn't realize that was the year. Anyhow.
It's all your fault.
Of course it is. Well, this is the point of the story. So 95, we go on strike, but the Pirates send us out to try and keep baseball in the minds of people. And they had me, for some reason, go to the Butler Country Club and be the keynote speaker at a luncheon. And this is my first thing I've ever done. And I felt like there were 50,000 people. It probably holds 50, but it felt like 50,000. Yeah. But Steve Blass, for some reason, introduces me as the guest speaker. I don't know why they did this, but again, I've been with the Pirates for 10 years, left the Buffalo Bills in 1990, came back in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Blass gets up and goes, now I want to introduce you to our guest speaker. When he left the Pirates, they began winning. In 1990, they started winning a string of 3 consecutive National League Eastern Division titles. He went to Buffalo, announced for the Buffalo Bills. They proceeded to lose 4 straight Super Bowls. Now he's back. The Pirates are in last place, and there's a baseball strike. Please welcome our good luck charm, my buddy Greg Brown.
Oh, man.
And here we are, all these years. And then, the string of 20 straight consecutive losing seasons started in 1993. I reminded people I started in 1994.
Yeah,
but it did end in 2013.
Yeah.
But the seasons are few and far between.
Yeah, but those memories, as fans, we even the losses, it's the run that you remember. Like I'm just dying.
Same.
How many games in my family we attended, the Pirate games and everything, and Steelers.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've been telling my son, he's 9 years, or he's just turned 10. is I want you to see a Stanley Cup run. I want you to see a Pirate playoff run, so
Yeah.
you can see what the real fever is like. And I can't wait until that happens because is
It's nothing like this
fandom
town.
will
There's nothing like this
increase.
town.
Oh,
and
it
their
goes
team wins.
crazy.
No,
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Do you reminisce about that 13 team and Russell Martin? And I'm sure I can't
We
think
get
of
asked about it a lot, about those 13, 14, 15 seasons. Yeah, I mean, think back fondly of it, of course. And, even leading up to it, even though they didn't win in 2012, they didn't have a winning record. We were booking our flight to Atlanta. It was gonna be a wild card
Yeah,
game. It was
right.
early September. It was just an unbelievable collapse.
yeah,
But it all is part. To me, it weaves the story of the franchise. I tell people, the franchise didn't start when I started
Good
announcing.
point.
Bob Nutting knows it didn't start when he
Sure.
started owning the team. It's been 150 years
Yeah.
of baseball.
yeah.
And same thing with the Penguins. Every year is a different story.
Yeah.
Every season,
Yep.
good and bad. It's all part of it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You keep going on, and that's the one thing. The fandom never stops. And I remember like how I was when McCutcheon left the first time. I told my wife, "We're done. I'm done.
Yeah.
We're not buying the tickets."
Yeah.
She said, "That's our team.
Yeah.
We're going." I said, "Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great point, and that's just how it is." But one of the things like I wanted to ask you guys through all the ups and downs, the grind of the broadcast world, the grind of the travel. You're winding down from it now in a couple weeks. You're about ready to go into it. What is that prep like when you start this, Bill? Because you got to, I'm sure, physically
Yeah.
and mentally have to be ready for
How old are you, Brown?
43.
43.
it. Dan called him my younger brother.
Okay, Pinocchio.
64.
Okay, we're 63.
Yeah.
Okay. And 81 road games, right?
81 road games.
81
Yeah.
road games. Yeah. And for us, it'd be 41.
Yeah.
41 road games. I find that as actually just funny you asked me that question. I was just telling somebody today, they were asking me about how long this would be my 21st or 22nd season broadcasting for the Penguins. And I now at 63 find that to be the hardest part of the job. And yeah, part of it's, I have younger kids. I've, doing it again.
And you were cooking last night. You were
Being
cooking-
away from
yeah.
them, it's hard. But yeah, we fly charter. Yeah, we stay in 5-star hotels. Yeah, you eat great meal and all that. But at some point around halfway through the season, you're just like, oh man. And chartering after, like before when I played, we'd stay after games. And I know you stay in cities longer than we do.
Yeah.
Which is a luxury, but
Yeah.
we would stay after games and fly commercial.
Yeah.
So we spend the night. Now you get home at 1:30, 2:30 in the morning, and then there's practice the next day, or you got a radio hit the next day, and so it becomes this unbelievable grind. And it's certainly not complaining because I wouldn't trade it for the world. I still love it today as much as the very first day I worked. And by the way, that was Marc-Andre Fleury's first game. Was my first game in 2003.
Oh, wow.
I still love it as much today. I can't wait for game number 1 on October 7th against the New York Rangers. I still love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I do find now, because of having family and because of my age, that the hardest part of the job is the travel.
Yeah, 100%. It's been, and on top of everything else, I don't know about how you are. I'm the most disorganized human being on the face of the earth. I literally, when I'm packing, I say I hate myself because I can't figure it out. I can't figure out how to pack.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy. It takes me an hour to pack. It shouldn't. It should take me 5 minutes. I can't figure it out. So I'm throwing everything in this, everything imaginable I throw in there. I don't know about the weather, what am I going to wear.
Not to get off topic, but, and not to interrupt you, but is it true that you're allowed to bring golf clubs on the baseball trips?
Most times you are.
That only one person could bring golf
sure we know
clubs
who that was.
Really?
on the Penguins.
Yeah, well,
flag.
we can guess who that was.
Mario.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've ever seen bring their golf club, and obviously it wasn't while he was playing.
The only thing I'll say is that because of the different sports, if you're a starting pitcher and you've already started, I mean, you might have 4 days of doing nothing through the day.
So you would golf day of a game.
I used to. Yeah, I used to.
No, but let me add a pitcher. If he pitched today and you're not playing till tomorrow night,
he could golf the next day if he's not pitching.
no problem.
Yeah.
Nobody has a problem with that.
Yeah.
In hockey, it is
Unbelievable.
boom, boom,
I
tap.
bet.
Now you can golf on the road. You got to rent your clubs, and you bring your shoes and you bring all your other paraphernalia. But no player is putting his clubs underneath that charter on the road. But I heard it was different.
All teams are like that in
Yeah.
Are they really?
All
Oh, yeah.
About
business.
that?
Yeah.
But you see players taking their golf clubs off the charter.
Well, no, because we don't take our luggage.
You-
I mean, it's already it's off. You know,
Somebody
somebody's doing it.
carries your luggage for you.
Yeah.
That's a difference
Yeah.
also in baseball,
That's
because
why
we've
hockey
had some
players are
people
so humble, right?
That's
we've
right.
had some people that have worked in baseball before in their first charter with the Penguins. They'll just get on the media bus and they won't go grab their bags, and they'll just sit there, and they'll get to the hotel and they'll be like,
Where's my
where's
bag?
my bag? They're like, you didn't grab it off the plane? They're like, we didn't do that with the Pirates.
Well, I mean, to be clear, when we arrive at the Atlantic Aviation, where you guys fly out of
Sure.
too, they take it off the belt, all the luggage off, and they take the luggage off and put it on the tarmac. And now you will have to roll your luggage to your car, which might
Okay.
be 50 yards away.
Sure,
And that's about it, the extent of it.
when you land.
Yes.
But when you are traveling from city to city, you don't touch your bag.
I don't.
you-
I always make sure that we take care of the bellman.
Okay.
Some people, which I don't understand, I
Yeah.
see a lot of people taking their own luggage out of their hotel room and carrying it into the elevator and down the steps. I don't get that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I was taught differently, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
a little
That's
different sport to
understandable.
sport. Yeah.
But all those memories off the field, I'm sure you've got a ton on the field, Greg, and some of those have to revolve around the Clemente family. When we talk about the Pirates, it's all about Clemente. Tell us about this week, your recollections of Clemente. Are you old enough to remember Clemente as a player?
yes,
Did you see some?
yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember-
I was 6 years old when he died,
Yeah.
so I'm
It's
very
funny.
vaguely remember.
I mentioned I was looking through that box of stuff in the
Mhm.
garage, and one of them was like, I had a little book. It was like a diary book. And I don't know how old I'm probably 9 years old. I wrote little entries into these. And one of the things was January 1st, 1973.
Wow.
Mom, Dad, Kate was my sister, and I just got back from Mass in Harrisburg when we heard Roberto Clemente died.
Wow.
So that I vividly remember that.
Yeah,
sure.
And renewed my memory there. So Clemente. Actually, I was thinking, and I said it on the air the other night, and somebody kind of corrected me, but I said, "Is there any name in sports more associated with one city than Clemente is to Pittsburgh?" And somebody said Lemieux and Pittsburgh. Probably close, I would think.
Fair. Yeah.
Very similar.
but-
Yep.
That's few and far between.
Few and far
also.
between.
Yeah.
I mean, in any other city in the country, just those two?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know, the thing about Roberto is, you know, watching the highlights and all that kind of stuff, the numbers are there, but there are other guys who had better numbers. But it was just the way he carried himself, you know, the way he dragged
Grace.
the bat up to the
Yeah.
plate, and he would torque his neck and you know, act like he was in pain, and then he would just go hit a line drive right off the right center field wall and gallop around the bases the way that he ran.
Thing
And it
of
was
beauty.
just, it was just,
Like a thoroughbred.
he was like an artist,
Yeah.
like painting a
Yeah.
canvas of
And
baseball.
Steve Blass, a lot of my memories come really from Steve.
Yeah.
He shares his memories about
Sure.
Clemente. You know, good
Yeah.
friends with him. He said you couldn't take your eyes off of him as a
Yeah.
player or a fan.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just couldn't take your eyes off of him. You just had to see that again, that grace.
Sure.
I had one-on-one kind of with him when I was probably 10 years
Wow.
old. I went to Gate A, Three River Stadium. You don't remember Three River Stadium, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had our celebration in '91 there.
That's right.
Jesus, Murphy.
You were sliding on there.
Come
You were
on, man.
sliding across
No,
on the
it's
bases.
It was
You were
'92
holding the
actually.
cup,
I
sliding
stand
the
corrected.
bases.
It was Trottier with the cup because it was
Oh,
raining.
those Trots,
on the-
yeah.
Forbes Field. That's another whole story.
But
Yeah.
the River Stadium outside Gate, where is it? Gate D that still stands here? I think Gate D
Okay.
still stands. They left the pillar up, but Gate A is where the media players would go in and out of game day. And I will not forget I was a little pipsqueak, again, probably 10 years old, and a bunch of people standing outside Gate A waiting for players to come out. And I couldn't see above the crowd. And it had to be 3 or 4 deep. Must have been enough to me, maybe 80 people, 100 people all over me. And I hear this screaming, Roberto.
Wow.
I couldn't see, but obviously he had come out.
Yeah.
And later, when I worked in the front office, I met a guy who used to work at the Northside Postal Service, Phil Dorsey. He was Clemente's driver and right-hand man. I found that out later. And then later became Bill Madlock's right-hand man and Stargell's. But anyway, I'm trying to fight my way through this crowd, and I've got a pad and pen in my hand for autographs, and I sneak up between people's legs. I sneak in, and I finally got to the front of the line, and Clemente is frantically signing autographs, but moving.
Sure.
And Phil Dorsey, I remember him saying, "Come on, Roberto, we got to go." And they started, and I screamed, Roberto, please. He stopped,
Wow.
turned around, took about 3 steps, and here's this little pipsqueak, grabbed my pad and pen, signed his autograph.
Wow.
He gave me
That's
back
awesome.
the pad,
Goosebumps.
but he kept the pen. And I said that forever to people. I said, Roberto Clemente has my pen.
Yeah,
Wow.
That was the greatest thing in the world.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well,
Incredible.
the documentary just came out, right?
It's coming out next week, I
which
think.
I
Is it
heard-
next week?
It's, various
Okay.
theaters. In fact, my buddy owns the Parkway Theater in Stowe Township. He's airing it this week.
Wow. I can't wait to see
I,
that.
some people I know that have had a preview, they've seen it, they said it's unbelievable. Just real quick, have you ever made a comparison? Oh, that was Clemente like, or is that kind of like sacred ground?
The arm, the arm
Yeah.
is what comes to mind. Jose
Sure.
Guillen had a Clemente-like arm,
Yeah,
and O'Neal Cruz has an arm that
Yeah.
strong, that good. So we see other players, but nobody seems to ever want to say
yeah,
he's as good as Clemente.
Yeah,
That
sure.
is sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad to see that Major League Baseball's honoring him. It's terrific. Another player who had a heck of an arm himself was finally honored by Major League Baseball, who I'm sure you got to know over the years, even though you didn't broadcast any of the games while he was a Pirate, and that's Dave Parker. Long overdue for him to get in the Hall of Fame. What are your recollections of Parker, Greg?
So that's when I was an intern at the Pirates. I got to know some of those players. Not well. I mean, I would basically be a runner for anything
Sure.
they needed.
Yeah.
Would hand them out the promotional items. I'd go into the clubhouse and hand everybody a promotional item. So and I got to know him not a little bit as he had retired and came back every once in
Yeah.
a while to Pittsburgh. My memory is watching him play. Talk about Porky, the arm. He had an arm like Clemente.
He sure did.
Yeah.
And but he could do it all. He was one of those quote 5-tool players. And my memory of him, I do bring up his name on occasion. I watch these players that not a lot, but some don't hustle from home plate to first base, and that drives me crazy.
yeah,
And I've talked to other players about it. John Wayner says, "What is it? 4 at-bats a game. You can't run from home to
Right.
first. You can't comprehend it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense."
Right.
And Dave Parker, a routine ground ball to second, would run from home to first as if he had just hit a double in the gap.
Wow.
And then when he got done, if he got thrown out, I will never forget, he took his helmet off. And rather than, you see these guys throw helmets and their equipment, it's thrown all over the place. Because you know who has to come get it? The bat boy.
Bat boy.
Yeah.
Just, come on, pick up everything.
That's,
Not Dave Parker, who would take off his helmet very gracefully and gingerly and undo his batting gloves, put them in the helmet, and hand it every time to the bat boy.
Yeah.
So
he was unbelievable. And
Yeah.
I can just remember, a lot of my college teammates were from Cincinnati, and that's where Parker grew up. And they said, like, even in the mid '80s, we're giving it to each other back and forth about the Pirates and the Reds and the Steelers and the Bengals and all that. And when Parker's name would come up, the guys would say, well, they would shut up, because they said people in Cincinnati, even 20 years later, were talking about what a great high school football player
yeah.
that Parker was.
Incredible
He was just
incredible.
unbelievable,
Yeah.
but it's so good just to see him get his due.
Agreed.
And long overdue. But speaking of baseball legends, we lost a legend who was kind of involved in baseball, and his fictional 1939
Yeah.
New York Knights team beat the Pirates for the pennant. And that's, of course, Robert Redford passed away a couple days ago,
Yeah.
who was Roy Hobbs in Dan's favorite movie, right? My favorite movie of all time, The Natural. And what Greg always kind of wanted to ask you these baseball questions. What's your favorite baseball movie?
I think that's probably up there.
Yeah.
Actually, Pride of the Yankees, which
Yes.
is an old.
That's
movie
on my
with
list.
Lou Gehrig
Yes, sir.
and Babe Ruth. That's
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig's story essentially is what it's all about, and that it actually stars Gary Cooper as Lou
Mhm.
Gehrig, and Babe Ruth is in it.
Yes.
It's kind of wild, but it's such a great story, and he was such a class act. But
Yeah.
the Natural was filmed before I got there in Buffalo
That's
at
right.
Old Memorial Stadium.
Right.
And so a lot of people that I know from the Buffalo area got involved in that
Right.
making of that film. In
Right.
fact, I wanted to ask about how was Redford, how was Glenn Close.
Yeah.
Just thought the world of both of them. They were
Is that
just
right?
so
That's
class.
great.
Um, But yeah, so those are probably my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you ever see Chasing 3000?
Nah, never watched the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a guy from Steubenville is actually the writer of that.
Oh, I
It's a
didn't know
story about him. His name is Bill McKee. Yeah, that's up there on my list too. But
that.
Field
What's
of
your
Dreams,
favorite,
all
what's
the
your
other
favorite
ones.
sports movie?
Well,
Don't say
just
Slapshot. It might be.
that's absolutely one of
Yeah.
my favorites.
Sure.
Sure. Robert Redford. I actually referenced The Natural when I talk about Mario Lemieux because Mario was The Natural. 'Cause Mario
yeah,
could really
absolutely.
work at this game.
Yeah,
You know, like just so gifted. You know, we had a bench press contest in training camp, 185 pounds, as many times you could do it. You know how many times Mario would do it?
2,
One.
1.
Boom,
What?
boom, racket. You know what? But he wasn't a workout guy. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it didn't hurt his back a little bit
Oh,
over the years, but you try to lift his stick. He was so freakishly
my
strong
gosh.
in his hands.
Naturally strong
just
in a
so
corner.
he was the natural.
Yeah,
You know, and as far as Robert, The Sting is one of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite,
Yeah.
right? Now the
Yeah.
sports movie. But
Yeah.
if you're talking baseball movies, I cannot flip through the channels without stopping if Bull Durham is on.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I like Kevin
Yeah.
Costner, Susan Sarandon, hubba hubba,
Right.
right? Okay.
I
And
like
Tim
her.
Robbins. I mean, the casting was so good
yes.
in that movie. There's just so many, lines of that movie that we probably use in our everyday
Yeah,
life.
yes.
We don't even realize
Yeah,
we
that's
do.
true.
Yeah.
Slapshot if you're a hockey guy,
Yeah.
of course. You
Yeah.
know. But as far as football movies, I mean, do you guys have a favorite? Football?
North
Rudy-
Dallas 40.
Rudy.
North Dallas 40.
North Dallas 40.
Yeah, that's
Um,
yeah.
My dad was a huge Walter Payton fan, Chicago
Me too.
Bears. Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg
So
growing up
Brian's
was.
song,
Oh,
right? Brian Piccolo,
yeah.
Gail Sayers.
Oh,
My
yeah.
parents always said they
Yeah.
couldn't believe that I was 9 years old. They said I memorized every line of that movie.
Yeah.
I knew when
Wow.
the commercials were coming.
Yeah.
No, Brian, it was the first movie I remember as a young kid. I watched it because my dad was such a Bears fan.
Yeah.
It's the first movie I remember crying. Like it brought
Yeah,
me
right.
like
Yeah.
to like emotional tears.
Yeah,
You know?
James Caan and Billy D. Williams
Oh,
had a
yeah.
great chemistry.
And James
between the
Caan.
two of them.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
what an
yeah,
what an actor.
yeah. But that's and we didn't mention Major League. In our little discussion about. I think Major League's kind of overblown from being a baseball. I
Yeah.
think it's just kind of a little bit too hurtful for me. But talking about real life Major League, switch gear a little bit, Greg. Can the Pirates go from being last place this year to contending next year? We
Well,
know
yeah,
anything's
yeah.
possible,
The answer is
but
yes.
but
Yeah, of
but
course it
you're
is.
the eternal optimist.
Well,
and
I don't know. We
what
discussed
do
it.
we
I
say?
never
Yeah.
talked to Porky about this. Your dad was a Chicago Bears fan. I was a Bears fanatic. Growing up in central Pennsylvania,
Sure.
I can remember how you formed back then. TVs were on like 3 channels.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm one of 7 kids, 6 boys, and 1 younger sister. I was the youngest of 6 boys.
So no remote control. So
I
somebody's
got-
getting
I
up to
got
change
beat
it.
up.
That's it.
But we would play knee football on our living room floor. Knee football, and because it's not big enough,
Yeah.
we would on our knees. We'd have these little Nerf balls we'd throw in, and then I'd get crushed. They'd tackle me, but we would always have a weekly show on Saturdays, a football show. John Facenda, the voice of NFL
Yeah.
films,
Wow.
would narrate it, and I remember just suddenly stopping and watching this art, and I get chills thinking about Gale Sayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching Gale Sayers, I was mesmerized
Yeah.
by this football player. I fell in love with the Chicago Bears that
Yeah.
moment. I signed up for a monthly newsletter, bi-monthly. Doug Buffone was the
Yeah,
linebacker.
sure. Yep.
He had it was about 6 pages long. It was, I'm sure, cheap. It was an old newspaper. I would run down to which was about 200 yards away, for a mailbox, thinking it's going to arrive. The Bears report, and I would take this when it arrived like gold, and I'd run up to my room and I would study it word for
Wow.
word. It was because I had no connectors, no
Sure.
cable.
Sure.
I had no cable. I had
Yeah.
no internet, no nothing. The only thing I had was this, and occasionally I would turn into WBBM radio and
Wow.
Joe McConnell at night to hear highlights. So the point is, the Bears were horrible when I was growing up.
Yeah.
When your dad liked them, I'm sure they were horrible.
Yeah.
They didn't sniff the playoffs. They were under 500 every year. Do you think I could not wait? One year they were 0-8. And my brother and I drove to Chicago to watch them and another 0-8 team. the Washington Redskins because my brothers love the Redskins. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait every week so it doesn't make sense to me that the team you adopt as your team, there's no guarantee that they win. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a bandwagon guy. I get it. Everybody loves a winner.
Sure.
For me, I love my team.
Mm-hmm.
I root for them. No guarantee. The point is, can they win next year? Of course they can, because other teams have done it. And they're not that far away because they've got really good pitching.
The way you root for your sports teams, I think, speaks a lot of you as a human being.
Absolutely.
Loyalty.
Right.
Yeah,
Like you said, I'm not a bandwagon friend. I'm not a bandwagon fan.
Absolutely.
You know, when they lose, I'm going to rip them.
Yep.
You ain't getting
Yeah. But when they win, I'm up on Mount Washington, first one,
100%.
screaming
And
their
it
praise.
feels so much sweeter when you
Sure.
don't just jump on the bandwagon when they start winning.
Yeah.
I remember when the Bears won the Super Bowl in 1985. I was here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And there weren't many people. There were no sports bars. I was at my apartment with like 4 other guys. They knew I loved the Bears.
Oh,
I
man.
loved it.
Oh,
You know, how good did it feel for a guy that rooted for
Sure.
himself as a kid that they win the Super Bowl? Nobody else was a Bears fan.
And speaking of the '85 Bears, we just met Otis Wilson's
That's
son
right.
a couple weeks ago.
Well, and we walked away. We said,
Quincy's
that's Otis Wilson's
Yeah.
son. Let's go back and like
So
touch him for a while. You know what I mean?
Quincy is the
Yeah.
head coach at
Yeah.
Weir High now.
Yep.
Yeah. So
But
that
I
was
agree
a
with Porky there.
big
That
thrill.
tells you a lot about the type of person you are. You don't just fall off whatever your loyalty because they're losing. I'm going to abandon that team.
Sure.
Why? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and obviously, like we don't even need to talk about it. We know that we need some backs, right? And a couple of those arms will be for sale. Who is it? We know that's what's going to happen. But we'd all love to see Don Kelly has shown a market improvement since he's taken over as a manager. Hit a little bit of skid right now in the last 10, 12 games. What is it about Don Kelly, I think, that gave the team a shot in the arm?
What Porky said, like he's not a bandwagon guy. He's real. He
Mhm.
is so real, and you know this as well, because you played. You know who can tell whether the coach or the manager is fake quicker than anybody? It's the player.
Players.
Yeah. Oh,
They
yeah,
know
no
it
doubt.
immediately.
Sniff it out.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
Yeah.
They can see through any
Yeah.
phoniness.
Yeah.
There's nothing phony about Don Kelly.
Yeah.
And so I agree. There must be now. Every manager or coach is a product of your talent. I mean, you can't magically all of a sudden make them really good. They need to go get a couple of bats.
Yeah.
But they fight for him, and he touches the right buttons.
Yes.
And I think he's just really good. And when he gets some talent, they can win with him.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it doesn't seem like he's overly obsessed with the analytics. Like
No,
he brought
that's
in some old school
right.
guys.
That's
And
right.
right away, you see Gene Lamont back in that dugout. That was great to see. And I think there's a balance between the analytics and managing what they've got. That's what I love to see, is a guy who's not afraid to go out and run a pitcher out there who just went 3 up, 3 down in 8 pitches. Run him out there for another inning. He's hot. He looks great. I'm trusting my gut on this.
There's a happy medium in
Yes.
sports now. It's not just baseball.
Yeah.
Analytics has creeped through every
Yes.
sport,
Yep.
and it's understandable because
Yes.
it's available. But you've got to have the happy medium, and I think Donnie does. Donnie is not super analytical. He's not super old school.
Right.
Jim Leyland used to say, I may be old, but I'm not old school. And I love that
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
That's what I feel about myself.
Yeah.
Of course it makes sense to live, but not to live by the computer. It doesn't make
Right.
sense.
It doesn't either.
Well, would you
Yeah,
guys
not at all.
agree that in 2025, the player has changed?
Sure.
And maybe money has to do with that because money breeds power.
Mhm.
You know, you got guys
Right.
making 10, 15, 20. You got guys in football making $40 million a year, right? So they have it figured out. And I've realized now, and maybe this is just kind of the old guy in the room talking a little bit, that there needs to be that fine line of, listen, they don't need a friend. And I'm talking baseball, I'm talking football, and I'm
sport,
talking hockey.
absolutely.
They don't need a friend. Okay.
Right.
They need a coach. Now, they don't need a jerk either, but they need a coach that's going to command respect, number one, have a defining line in the sand of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and accountability
Right.
and consequences,
Yes.
right? That maybe that's a little old school, but that's where I embrace that kind of old
100%
school, right?
Yeah.
But also, you have to be able to bring out a personality. I see that in Donnie. I met him just one time, and I knew 30 seconds, just what you're talking about, Brownie. And I think the Dan Muse, New Penguins head coach, has a little bit of this too. Of I have a personality. Yeah, we can kind of yuck it up when the time's right, But at the end of the day, I'm the coach, you're the player.
Right.
Hopefully I see you at the finish line.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way of saying that. And the one thing that I want to ask you, and you know, it's not an issue with Don Kelly, because when Jim Leland was asked how Don Kelly would do, he said, "I think Don's going to have credibility because he's been a major leaguer. He was a 9-year
point.
major leaguer, right? He's going to have that credibility." And Jim Leland said he'll have to lose the credibility, whereas Jim Leland, not being a major leaguer, said, "I'll have to fight for it." And that's a great point. Now, Dan Muse, how is he going to walk that line? Not only is he walking that line in a locker room with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Carlson, some of these, you know, some of the greatest players maybe of all time. How is he going to walk
Before
that
I answer
line?
your question,
Yeah.
Paul Maurice just won back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Florida Panthers.
Right.
You know how many NHL games he's played?
0, yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Before that, John Cooper,
John
NHL
Cooper, right.
coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
You know how many NHL games he's played?
0.
0. He's the lawyer.
He was a lawyer. Yeah.
Okay. Before that, yeah, you had Craig Berube played over 1,000 games.
Sure.
Okay, there's your exception, you know, and even you had Mike Sullivan who played over 700 games.
Yeah.
But you even go back to Penguins history. You had Badger Bob Johnson.
Yeah.
You know how many NHL games he played?
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Then you had Scotty Bowman replace Badger after he passed away from brain cancer. You know how many NHL games he played? 0.
That's right.
So to get to your question about Dan Muse, you know how many NHL games he's played?
He's played 0.
0.
Yeah.
He admitted, not only was I not a Division I hockey player, I was actually a Division III player,
Yeah.
and I wasn't a good one.
Yeah.
And he can kind of yuck it up a little bit. If I was barely on the team, but he realized I'm not going to make it as a player. So let me take my compass and point it over here, and I'm going to pour every ounce of energy I have into being the best possible head coach I can be. Now, he wasn't always a head coach. In fact, he's never been a head coach in the NHL before, but he has some credibility as he can walk in that locker room, has been an assistant coach for 2 teams that won the President's Trophy. Back with the Nashville Predators when he was with Peter Laviolette, and then with Laviolette a couple of years ago with the New York Rangers. And he was instrumental on their penalty kill, where they're both in the top. With the Predators, they were top 6. With the Rangers, top 3. And on top of that, he's coached young kids before and had success at the World Junior, where he's won gold. Rutger McGroarty, Penguins young guy, was the captain of that team. So he's got his resume is stacked full. Now, to your point about walking in that locker room, Sid, Gino, Tanger, Carlson, Russ, Raquel, all these guys that have had tons of success, whether individually or team-wise, you have to not be their friend. Come in, say, this is the way we're going to play. Dan Muse, Pittsburgh Penguin hockey. And if you don't, you're just not going to play. Because that's the most valuable thing for players right now. Ice time. You take their ice time away, you'll get their attention.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great answer. We hope that you know, we wish him all the success in the world. He's taken over for a beloved figure in my opinion. I thought Mike Sullivan
great
was
job.
awesome.
10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Who sticks around for 10 years?
Right. Yeah. And so we'll look forward to following him this year. But another coach who a lot of people are calling for to be replaced and have been for a while is Mike Tomlin. And again, a mental mistake rears its ugly head with Caleb Johnson not fielding that kickoff.
Yeah.
That you think this is ingrained in your head, kid. I know you haven't done this maybe much in college. So you're a feature back at Iowa and whatnot, but he lets the kickoff go through his hands. It's lying in the end zone there. Seattle recovers it, turns the game around. Isn't that something from your standpoint, and Greg, just from watching baseball, isn't that something that's got to come from the head guy?
The easy answer is yes, but Mike Tomlin was asked about it. You know, how often do you go over that? And the short answer was every day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and again, Marv Levy is a Hall of Fame coach. I consider him a friend. To celebrate his 100th birthday.
God bless him. Yeah. And there's another guy who never played it down in the NFL.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But led his team to 4 straight
Yes.
Super Bowls, commanded respect, delegated a lot. And I don't, for me, I just think it's so hard to win. Again, Borky knows this better than you and I. It is so hard to win in sports in general, but especially at the professional level. I think Tomlin is still maybe the best coach in the National Football League. Now, I don't follow the NFL like I used to, but it still holds true that it's tough to win.
Sure.
And people almost laugh at the idea that they have had all these winning seasons. Like, It's hard. Think
Yeah.
of a guy who's been through 29 losing seasons.
Yeah, there's a shelf life though, especially when does the
Okay,
message
no,
get
maybe
stale?
so, but they have been calling for his head
Yeah.
for years. And every time something happens, they're ready to jump on it. So
Yeah.
the mistake is made. It's Tomlin. This is not the first week. This has been going on for years.
Sure.
They wanted Tomlin out of here.
Yeah,
I believe Tomlin gets them to the playoffs. I think their talent is mediocre. And maybe that's a slight on who has been the general manager of this team over the years.
Mhm.
But watching the games, I think that Tomlin raises the level. He gets into the playoffs, but then the cream rises in the National Football
Sure.
League playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's when
yeah, that's a
talent
great
overtakes
point.
everything
Yeah.
else. And that's why they don't win. But
Right.
my goodness, I just think they will rue the day he's gone. In my
Wow,
opinion.
wow, that's an interesting take. And yeah, I'm always interested to hear what you guys think about the other sports because it's just
No, Borky may have a different opinion.
I just think the narrative locally and nationally
it's two different things.
are completely different.
Yeah, they are.
Nationally, people genuflect. They
Yeah.
kiss the ring with
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
Locally, I think just because of the way that Chuck Noll ran this hockey team, football team,
Mhm.
and then also
Tower.
Howard.
Yeah.
Bill Cowher, that Mike Tomlin didn't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a color thing. I don't think it's a race thing. I don't feel that. But I do feel that Mike Tomlin was probably guilty of what I talked about earlier,
Yeah.
being
The
too buddy buddy.
accountability.
Right, and the accountability to players that it was almost like the inmates running the asylum.
Right.
That's the way it looked at
I
externally,
agree with you.
and I think we can continue to hold that over his head no matter what he does,
Yeah.
because now you're right. He's been here so long. We haven't won for so long.
Yeah.
What's the common denominator?
But
It's him.
Pittsburgh and this region once they want old school, and those days are gone.
Yeah.
They want to see Howard and these guys screaming in the faces of these
Yeah.
guys, and you sit down. It doesn't happen
Doesn't
anymore.
not anymore.
Because no
Yeah.
matter the money thing.
Yeah.
We all want. I want it. I want to
And
see
I-
that. They want to see the discipline. They want to see somebody get yelled at. It
That's
might be happening. It is happening behind closed doors. They just don't see it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Greg. I think that is what we want to see. It's not a race thing because you're going to be surprised to hear this, but you know who I wanted to be the head coach of the Steelers when that job came open? Mike Singletary.
Oh,
One of
yeah.
your old school,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
old
yeah.
school Bears.
Yeah,
I just thought
in the NFL because
he was too old
Probably
school.
too, the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's got to be, like you said, a fine line between the analytics and the new wave
Yeah.
and those kind of things. But very interesting stuff. Always interested to hear how the teams get along, what they always think about each other. Speaking of that, we're going to get to our little trivia question, which involves Pittsburgh sports, and I think you're the guy who could answer this. But
Oh,
we're going
boy.
to let one of our viewers come in, and if you can just message me on Facebook here when you see this. If you have the correct answer to this question, we'll give you we will send you an Eaton Park gift certificate in the mail. You have to give me your address and everything. But the question is, there are only one number. There's only one number in the history of the Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins that's been retired that at least two players share. What is that number, and who are those two players? The Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins have been in existence for almost a combined 300 years. There's only 15 numbers retired between the three franchises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15, 9 by the Pirates, 3 each by the Steelers and Penguins. So that narrows it down. What is the one number that two players, one for one team and one for the other, have worn that's been retired?
So
Yeah, and we're gonna
So a Pirate player has the same number
as
the
a
retired
Steeler or
Yeah.
Penguin, you know, like
And
say
also-
Mario Lemieux and Alan Faneca,
Yeah.
but it's not Alan Faneca because his number hasn't been
Yeah.
retired. No, just
you're saying
two.
two of the three teams.
two of the three
Uh-huh.
teams. The
Yeah.
only shared number. There's only one of them.
I'm gonna say can you give us a hint? It's not a Penguin.
It has to do with you two guys and not the
It's
third
got-
team that's behind.
Oh, it is.
Oh.
It's a Penguin and a Pirate.
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's 21.
bingo.
Yeah.
Borky got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So if someone messages that when we replay this, that's the
Okay.
number.
Was I supposed to say it?
Message. Well, you did. Fine. It's all good.
Do we need to
That's
edit
what I
this?
said. No, we're good.
It's Borky, no, like we said, we got
Yeah,
a script, Borky.
Well, they
Come
may
on.
not know who the players were. You would know. That's
Okay.
why I said the one player they will know That's why I figured you would know that.
That's hilarious.
Well, who's going to come up with that player? No
Yeah.
one's going
Okay,
to come up.
let-
They're going to be
okay,
like,
let 'em do
so
that.
you know, that's
Good.
but obviously 21 Roberto and the other one. But anyway, we're going to move to the last segment. So I hope you guys want to stick around for a minute or two, a couple minutes. We're going to talk to the owner of the Berg Bus.
Yeah.
What a great
Oh,
concept for
baby.
this party.
Yeah.
We've got Nick Walker, the owner of the Berg Bus, and I said Brownie and I were talking before, and we said this is a bucket list thing. You know, I've done
Yeah.
this. I've been to Spain. I've been here. I've done this. I've called games, but I haven't done a podcast from a bus. So this is a bucket list thing. Now we can all say we've done a podcast.
I'm
from a
trying to
bus.
figure out where
But-
the stripper pole goes.
This-
on the Berg Bus here. I'm just, is it just the port?
You can always count on it.
portable
Having
one, the
things
portable
up.
one like you have in your back bedroom?
I
Well,
love
maybe
it,
that's
yeah.
that should be a question. Like, what is taboo on the Berg Bus? Does anything go?
There's no
You know?
nudity on here, right, Nick? No
Yeah.
nudity.
Right.
No
Hey,
nudity.
I don't see any cameras
coming
up
in.
here.
There is.
All
Hey, guys.
right. This is
Man.
Nick Walker.
I
everybody.
was about stripper poles. That's what I came in on. Okay. No stripper pole. But how am I supposed to follow this? This is crazy. This was such a cool episode to listen
Great.
to. You guys
Great.
we're like, this is so cool. We're on the bus doing this thing,
Yes.
and we're also in an historic location right
For
now,
sure.
too. So
Yeah.
it's really cool we're doing this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Nick, take us a little bit about your history. You're originally from Florida. You and
Yeah.
your wife migrated here. You met at Savannah School of Arts and Design.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm from Florida. My wife is from Virginia.
She's from Virginia.
I grew up in Florida. We both went to college in Savannah, Georgia. That's where we met. Graduated. She got a great job right out of college in North Carolina. So we moved there. When she was able to work remotely, we moved to Virginia. We visited Pittsburgh randomly for a week. Fell in love with it. Like one of our favorite places we've ever
Mhm.
been. And we were like, we got to do it. We got to make it happen. And now here we are, 11 years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys do tours. Talk about how you bought the buses. You got 2 buses in your fleet right now.
Yeah.
Looking to expand, hopefully. How did
Yes.
you come about buying these buses?
We just, you got on Google, you got on Facebook Marketplace, you got
Wow.
on Craigslist. You're like, used buses. And you can buy a used bus for like $200 if you want.
Sure.
It's probably a junker. You probably shouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
But you can buy buses because they get rid of those buses after like 5 years,
Yeah.
Just
10
need to
years.
move them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want new ones. They
Yeah.
want reliable ones because they need to work every day when they take kids to school. So just started looking, and I was telling you guys before, like I paid a mechanic to meet me at the lot to look at the bus
Yeah.
and be like, "Hey, I'm going to pay you
How's the
for an
bones,
hour
yeah.
of your time. Look at this bus. Should I buy this bus? Should I not buy
That's
this
a great
bus?"
idea.
And like it worked great because he was like, "Don't buy that bus." And then he would look at this one. He'd be like, "Don't buy that bus."
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "These are pretty good. I don't see anything wrong without test driving it for a week or so." But so yeah, it all worked out.
And this is just caught fire. You're like, kind of holding the reins, running behind, trying to keep up with the bus, literally, because you have tours and you've been very fluid about how, these are organized. Tell us a little bit about the organization with the tours.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing we do is we do comedy tours every single weekend. There's going to be a comedian host up there, sometimes 2. And we're going to ride around the city. We have a set route. We start downtown by the convention center. Yeah. And that's what's so fun. These are the selling points. You got a comedian up there. It's live entertainment for your ride. It's BYOB on the bus. You can bring anything you want. You have to be 21, obviously.
Sure.
We took the windows out of our big bus. So like in the summer right now, when you're riding around, open air, the breeze, you're interacting
So
with people
definitely
on
no
the street.
nudity, right? Definitely with the
No,
open
there
windows.
has been
Okay.
nudity on the bus before, for sure. St. Patrick's Day shuttles, that has
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, we do discourage that for sure. But you can't control 44 people sometimes, so some things
Sure.
have happened. But yeah, that's the big thing we do right now. It's Steelers season. We do Steelers comedy tours only during home game weekends. It's our favorite thing we do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So tell us about like where do you see the business going from here? Where does it go from here? What's your vision for the future? Because you just kind of like, it seems like a great idea, and it is. And
Yeah.
now you're like, wow, what do we do with this? This monster you've literally created.
Yeah, that's really nice of you to say. It has. It's gone really well. We're super fortunate and very lucky where we are right now. people always mention like us franchising in other cities. And I'm like, maybe we really want to focus on Pittsburgh right
Sure.
now and our business and like our buses. Definitely want to grow the fleet, like
Mhm.
for sure. I've got a bunch of crazy ideas.
Any that you can take the lid off of? Let us see one. You got copyrights on these, right?
No, yeah. So I mean, I think it would be really cool to have a bus with no roof at all,
Wow.
like completely open the
Yeah.
top one.
Yeah.
I've seen it in other cities.
Yeah. Nashville
Nashville's
Yeah.
got it. Yeah. Although I know Pennsylvania is going to be hard with that.
with the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a way to do it. I just think that would be cool. We really just want to do things that Pittsburgh doesn't have.
Sure.
Or things that there's a few ideas I have that I Googled for hours and I've never seen an example of it anywhere.
Sure.
So
Brian, I don't want to jump the line here, but
No,
I'm dying
please.
to know because I've been talking to people about this and I'm dying to do this. So the comedy thing sounds unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I want to know, do you have tours? Do you have rides where you can just, me and my wife can go? Or does it always have to be a group? Is there a minimum amount of people that we need to get together to go on one of these outings?
So we do private events all the time, if
Okay.
that's what you're asking.
Only.
No, we do public events. So like the comedy ones are ticketed. You can
Are
go on our
ticketed.
website right now.
Okay,
We got one tomorrow at 7. It's sold out.
I can get 2, I can get 3, I
Yeah,
can get
yeah,
4,
yeah,
I can
yeah,
get
yeah.
6.
Oh, I had someone buy yesterday 31 tickets for November
Okay.
for a random Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do our public ones. They're on our calendar on our
Good.
website.
Okay.
What is your
But we
website?
do bergbus.com.
Bergbus.com.
Don't forget the H. But if you do, we own that domain too, and it gets redirected to
how
our
about
website.
this guy?
BURG
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and so from private events too, we do weddings, we do wedding shuttles, bridal party shuttles, bar hops, shuttles out to Star Lake. That's something we do now.
Oh, yeah.
So ticketed events,
Nice.
and that's
Yeah.
been great.
Yes.
We introduced that last year for the season, and I think 22 out of 25 were sold out.
Is it a flat rate, hourly rate?
Tickets are flat rate. So
Yeah.
it's like for the Star Lake shuttle, it's a round trip ticket. Comedy
What's
bus
that
flat
round?
rate. That's 45 round trip a person for the Star Lake
That's-
shuttle.
Considering the traffic, you
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
a,
yeah.
it could be an 8-hour round
Right.
tripper.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, an Uber from there at night could cost you
Forget it.
$150 probably to
Yeah.
get back to
Yeah.
the city.
brilliant.
But yeah, then we have hourly rates. This bus is a different rate than the big one,
Sure.
3-hour minimum, and that's good for people to bar hop. 3 hours is good.
Yeah.
We've had people that do 5-hour bar hop
Yeah.
and they regret it.
Oh,
It's not good. We had a group recently. They rented the bus for 3 hours. This was a Sunday. They had it from like 1 to 4. An hour in, they were trying to extend it to 2 a.m. I was like, no. I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And but I
We
said
knew what the end game
5
was.
hours. I said 5 hours is the max, is the total max. Like we'll extend it 2 more. Because I've seen a 5-hour bar hop,
Yeah.
and it's not good at the end.
It's not good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because they also drink fast. They know their
Yes.
time is
Oh,
limited.
yeah.
Because they can drink on the bus, then they go to a
Oh,
bar,
boy.
they drink at the
Right.
bar. They get on the bus, they
My
drink on the bus. So like, I was like, you guys are crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, and this is comfortable. Like I'm,
Yeah,
real,
I'm very
I'm almost feel like I'm in a limo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
limo seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else you got? You got the sound system. What else you got?
oh my
going on?
gosh. So this one, they completely redid. Everything was taken out. Obviously the seats. Yeah, it was actually like a limo company that made these seats.
Yeah.
And they're great. We've taken
AC.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It has AC.
Yeah.
It has heat. Heat works really well. All new sound system. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
subwoofer in here.
Yeah.
We'll have to turn it on at some point because it's very loud. in
Yeah.
here.
We'll get it booming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one has an amazing sound system. We have 2 wireless mics up there, so people
Oh,
can do
man.
karaoke when we're riding around. That's always a big hit.
Oh, man.
Um,
Yeah.
what else on
And,
here?
and,
Yeah, but
and
yeah,
Nick,
it's cool.
where do most of your clientele comes from, like the tri-state area?
Yes,
Right?
for sure. I mean, I think our biggest demographic is like right a 50-mile radius of
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to hit.
That's
We
this
call
whole
ourselves
thing,
the
yeah.
tri-state area's home for sports talk and fun, and we have a lot in common here. So hopefully we'll continue to do this with you, and we're finding ways to incorporate both of these
That's great.
ventures here. But going to wrap up for now. Is there any last thing that you want to last word? Anything you want to promote? What do you got going on this weekend? Tell
This
us what you got
weekend,
going
so
on
it's
this
so a lot of private. What is this weekend? We have a comedy tour tomorrow. It is sold out, and it's all private events. Other than that,
Wow.
next big one is the next Steelers home game, which I think because of the Ireland game is October 12th. So October 11th, Black and Gold tour with Matt Light as the host. Those are coming
brilliant.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
he's
great.
brilliant.
That's
Yeah, he's a good guy.
fantastic.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good luck, man.
we
This is
love
Thanks.
awesome.
We're having a lot of fun
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
And people are too. So
Yeah, this is
Makes us
cool. Well,
happy.
we're going to figure out how we can mesh our two operations
Sweet.
here and continue to do this. It's been a great time. Greg, can't thank you enough, buddy, for
Thank you,
always
Mike.
being
Thanks,
here.
man.
Borky, we'll continue to
Love it, man. Brownie.
keep doing
I know,
this.
man. I love you,
Bye,
man.
man.
Huh?
Bye, man.
I know.
Yeah, and please like us, share this on Facebook, on YouTube. And Nick with the Berg Bus, obviously, we'll continue to talk with you. Follow Borky on X at pbork29.
You got it.
Brownie is at Brownie Points.
G Brownie
At
points.
G Brownie Points on X. Follow us on X. And, for our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Most of all, be important. Follow God. Follow the dreams that he puts in your heart. You won't go wrong. Join us soon. Stay tuned. We'll tell you where our next episode's coming from. We've got some great guests lined up. We're looking forward to seeing you back here on the Black and Gold Happy Hour Sports Talk. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
thank you guys. Cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hello?
Good deal.
That was fast.
That flew by. That was good.
Yeah.
Well, this
With these
is
two,
awesome.